Hello and welcome back to Shock's Talks. I'm Shakti, and today we're going to talk about OBEs, or out-of-body experiences. So this channel is about all things paranormal and especially the nature of reality and consciousness. I've been studying this stuff for a long time now. In my life, it's been a long time. It's been like 15 or more years of specifically being interested in the nature of reality via Tom Campbell's work, and his book is called My Big Toe, Theory of Everything. There are lots of these theories out there, lots of different people who are coming at this same topic from many different angles and just trying to get a better understanding of the things that exist at the fringes of what we consider reality. So physical matter reality in his theory is a subset of a larger reality, the non-physical, and there are many other reality frames beyond that, and out-of-body travel is the way to access them. And in his theory, he would say that even the term out-of-body is misleading and it's just a metaphor, and it's been around for a really long time, but it has a lot of weird connotations. And interestingly enough, I just came across a new body of work, and they're saying a lot of the same things that Tom says, and they're also identifying the fact that a lot of the terminology is sort of out of date and limiting in ways. So different people are coming at this and trying to provide new language to help us all to understand and be able to access these experiences so that we can then have a greater experience in reality in our lives, and perhaps even more fulfillment and more maturity is a way that they put it in this book that I'm reading now. So if you're new to the channel, I love talking about aliens and UFOs and researching that as well. I have a whole season, like 20 some episodes, and there's a playlist that you can get to for season 1, which is a deep dive into major events in the UFO historical timeline starting around the 40s and leading us up to current events. So that's what I did when I started this channel, and then this is season 2, where we're diving into the psi phenomena, the paranormal stuff, and it's the psychic season. So right now we're just talking about different things that people do and study and experience outside of regular reality, and out-of-body experiences are a big part of that. So in the UFO world, or kind of the world of people who are studying that phenomena, something that you'll come across is remote viewing, and I have a couple episodes on that too, and I talk about it a lot. And remote viewing is a certain kind of protocol to access information from the database that is reality, or the larger consciousness system, or the non-physical. So remote viewing is a way to use consciousness from one location to access data from another location using only the mind. And it's been studied a lot. There have been many government programs and other secret programs that completely revolved around this skill and ability. There was a lot of psychic study going on during the Cold War, and psychic spies were a topic. So if you start digging around in all that, you'll find out a lot about remote viewing, and you'll also find out about NDEs, which is a near-death experience, and OBEs, out-of-body experiences. So what I want to talk about today is this new book that I'm starting called Demystifying the Out-of-Body Experience, a practical manual for exploration and personal evolution. This is by Luis Minero. And I signed up for, him and his organization do offer different trainings and classes. So I signed up for a small training to kind of get a sample of the work and the group of people that he's working with. And I also signed up for a Q&A session with them. So I will let you know how that goes after I do it in about a month. And I also want to let you know that finally I'm going back to Contact in the Desert, which is a really cool conference in Palm Desert. This is the 10-year anniversary. It's happening in about like 9 days or something like that. And I'm really excited because I went last year and it sparked so much for me. I saw so many incredible lectures and took tons of notes, and that's really what got me excited to start this channel, because I am just a student of life here, and this is my favorite thing to study. And I love just the feeling of being driven by curiosity and just feeling so intrigued by a topic. So the topic is just the nature of reality, and there are so many things within that that I'm interested in. And one of those things is developing my own ability to produce an out-of-body experience at will. So this book is another book in my attempt to move myself closer to that ability. And it started for me with Tom Campbell, and I came across his work about I want to say 13 to 15-ish years ago. I have to go back and check my personal timeline that I've been building out for myself of experiences and figure out when I found his book for the first time. But it's been a while now, and I've been working with his teachings and techniques and perspectives to try to make more sense of my own anomalous experiences, and, like I said, to produce this out-of-body experience at will. A lot of people are doing this, and apparently it's the best way to get direct firsthand knowledge of the reality, the greater reality. So it seems really valuable to me and definitely really interesting. And I mean, if you've ever had an out-of-body experience or an NDE, you better please put a comment down below, because I really do want to know about it. And I think it's very interesting how many people have had spontaneous out-of-body or NDE experiences, but the ones that can actually do it repeatedly and can do little experiments where they can gather data and verify that data afterwards. That's what I'm really interested in. So, for example, I would like to be able to go out of my body, so to speak, to use my consciousness to access information beyond my physical limited set of information, and look down the street and see what color car was parked in front of the house 2 houses down. And then I'd like to get back in my body, drive over there, and verify that information to find out if I really did it or not. You know, that's the kind of stuff I want to do. I want to explore beautiful places on the earth that I cannot access with my physical body, like deep under the ocean. And I want to experience the other reality frames that I've heard about and make connections and learn and grow and have experiences that help me to make sense of my physical life in this lifetime. These are the kinds of things I've heard about that sound really cool to me, and I want to do them. So I had a friend asking me today, like, what kind of experiences have you had, and how much have you been able to get out of the body? And, you know, it was interesting for me to answer that, because I have had experiences in childhood that could have been considered out of body. I've had experiences on substances that could possibly be considered out of body. But in terms of just sober, lucid, willed experiences, I haven't had a whole lot, I'll be honest. I've had the experience of receiving data from the data streams of consciousness that is beyond my physical body, and I do get information, and I do have a very strong intuition, and I have been practicing using that and strengthening it and developing a relationship to the little nudges that the universe gives me. So some people call that talking to guides or helpers. I have a pretty strong connection to those data streams, and I've also had very strong connections to the shadow side of that, which are the negative data streams that kind of pull you into chaos, and have learned to work to basically not fully block them, but to quickly disengage when one of those data streams starts flowing to me. And honestly, I don't want to blab on and on about my little minimal experiences because I'm still, like I said, waiting to really get out there in the way that a lot of these people talk about. So when I do, I will be sure to let you know, and I will be so excited to talk all about it. I'll probably write a book about it because it's my passion. But basically today, I want to talk about Luis Minero because he is someone who I just came across. And like I said, his work is very similar to Tom Campbell's. And as I was reading the foreword to his book, I found out that there's this whole group of people that kind of originated in Brazil, it sounds like, in a whole school that has built up around that. And they've kind of spread to different locations and started to pass these teachings along, you know, making so many translations of these books, and I'll tell you all about it. So basically, let's start with Luis Minero. He was born in 1972, graduated with honors in chemistry from Florida International University. He began studying and developing his abilities in paranormal phenomena in his early teens. After becoming a volunteer in what they call conscientiology. Now, I'm just going to make a note here. There are a lot of where we would typically say just like ology, there's always a eology, IOL, in the way that they've made these words. I don't know if this is like because of the translations from maybe like Brazilian Portuguese over to English, but all of the things that we would normally say, like just ology at the end, they say eology. So be prepared for that. You're going to hear it a bit. So after becoming a volunteer in conscientiology, so it's like con and then scientiology, in 1995 in Miami, Florida, he began giving classes on OBEs, paranormal phenomena, and spiritual growth in 1996, including at the college level. And that was at Miami-Dade College from 1997 to 2002. Water. Since he speaks English, Spanish, Portuguese, and German, he has lectured on various topics related to the out-of-body experience in several countries across Asia, Africa, Europe, North America, and South America, and Australia. And he has helped thousands of individuals to develop their own skills. That's the cool part. Thousands of people, and same thing with the Monroe Institute, same thing with Tom Campbell, and so many others. They're teaching people how to have their own experiences. The book, Demystifying the Out-of-Body Experience, a practical manual for exploration and personal evolution, is basically, like I said last time, it really is like a textbook. And come to find out, that's exactly what he was aiming for. He wanted to take the work of Waldo Vieira, who I'll tell you about in a minute, and he wanted to make it really accessible and basically practical for people. So again, similar to Tom Campbell, it's all about taking these huge concepts and really deep, esoteric systems of understanding reality and bringing it into a very accessible form for people. And I think that's so great. So the foreword to this book is by Wagner Allegretti. And forgive me for pronunciations. I don't know how to pronounce them. I'm just kind of making it up because it might be Brazilian and it might be something else. I'm not sure. I learned, so Allegretti, let's see. Yes, to me, this sounded a lot like the Bob Monroe, Tom Campbell, and others who were all kind of circling around one person who was like trying to bring this work out based on their own experiences. So Bob Monroe would be like the US version of that. Waldo Vieira was someone who had his own paranormal experiences that started around the age of 9, and he began research and wrote works on the topic, eventually leading to the International Institute of Projectiology and Conscientiology, the IIPC. So this guy was a medical doctor in Brazil, and like so many others, he His interest was sparked because he had his own experiences. And then he did all this research and study and started bringing people into his group and working with people. In 1994, a new phase of the project began, and many of the researchers left Brazil and took the work to Lisbon, Portugal, New York, and Miami. Allegretti and his wife went to Miami and met Minero there. So in Miami, they were working to bring Vieira's work to more people and to make it more accessible through this new, smaller group called the International Academy of Consciousness. And this was in 1995. And this is when the young student, Luis Minero, who was still in college, he went to start volunteering with this organization. And he wanted to do it, again, because he had had his own experiences from a young age and he wanted to understand them. And he also wanted to be able to produce them at will, just like me. So, yeah, it's like this is the common story. People just, they have a little taste of it. They want to know more. They want to understand it. And he also just, it must have been part of his life path because he had the academic mind to be able to really serve this effort. So he was able to volunteer and help with translations and, you know, help to bring the work into this more accessible form. So it's like he's really sponging up all the heady concepts and digging in really deep, and then he's able to bring it back to the people in a more like palatable way, which I think is really cool. And again, I'm looking for the similarities between different bodies of work. So this is something that I've heard Tom Campbell say, and this is what Allegretti says in the foreword about why teaching others these skills matters. This is a quote. "The tools that may allow others to reach their own confirmation that we are more than a physical body, our dedication to disseminating the knowledge associated with self-awareness of the non-physical world lies in the conviction, which is confirmed regularly in our classes, that awarenesses and understanding of the mysteries of life and death can alleviate one's insecurities or fears and encourage maturity. In this broader context, our studies, as you will find in this book, consider the ethical and practical consequences of such knowledge." So that little last bit is really interesting to me because there are a lot of ethical questions that come up as soon as you even start imagining the possibilities when it comes to these capabilities. So they talk about the whole proof factor, basically that science has not reached a level where all of this is provable. And I will say that Tom Campbell's team is currently working on scientific experiments that expand upon the double slit experiment and seek to provide evidence to strengthen his hypothesis. So there are some things happening currently that may aid in adding evidence to support these theories, but it's not done yet. It's all in progress still, as far as I know. And it's the kind of thing that, I mean, that's part of what makes the topic so interesting, is that it goes beyond physical matter reality. So a lot of our science is, and our scientific process is based in what we can do within this reality frame. And that's physical matter reality. That's the subset of reality that we exist within. But these people are asserting that there's more beyond that. And so we would have to evolve our science to go outside of our own limited reality and our own rule set to be able to develop the science even needed to prove these things. So it's like, it's pretty kind of far out there, but what's cool about it is that it's so experiential that people can gain their own understanding, and that in and of itself is very powerful, and that adds to the evolution of consciousness that may lead us to that next level where we can prove things in a new way with science that we have not yet even developed or discovered, I guess. So one of the things that they talked about when they were talking about the proof factor was how you can have a dream, but you can't really prove that you're dreaming. And it's, you could hook up some kind of brain monitors to someone, and you could pattern match and say, these are the patterns that happen when you dream, and these are the patterns that happen when you are awake. But then there's little wiggly areas, like certain kinds of meditation mindset, or people who are doing experiments around psi phenomena are monitoring brainwaves, and they're finding other patterns that sort of look like this dream pattern or this meditation pattern. So it's all kind of like, we're not quite there yet with being able to just prove things clearly, at least in the science that's known to the general public. But people can have a dream and be like, yeah, I dreamed last night. I had a dream. It was real to me. And someone else could say, like, well, I don't know if you really had that dream or not. I don't believe you. You're probably lying. And that would just be their choice. They could totally not believe someone and it wouldn't matter. But if they had their own dream, then they might be like, oh, I had a dream last night too. Now I get it. Okay, we dream. You dream, I dream, we all dream. Like that kind of thing. So this is about helping people to be able to access the experience, and that's through these tools and techniques. So let's see. They also mention, and this was a strange coincidence because I just heard Tom Campbell talking about this about a week ago. But he was talking to someone about, like, what would it take to sort of turn the tides, or like, what is the number of people that need to get interested in these things or have these abilities in order to really push it forward. And he was kind of talking about slightly different. He was talking about like the evolution of consciousness towards a more loving, a more cooperative, and there's another word, but it's not there right now, but basically just like towards a better reality. And he said 10% would be enough to get it going. He's like, it's a smaller amount than you even think. And in this book, they say the same thing. So they're saying 10% would be enough to warm up the arena in terms of this whole out of body thing, that really just get the ball rolling and like get more people catching on to it. So that's what a lot of their work is about, just bringing it out to more people, to grow the numbers, which I also think is very interesting. And then wrapping up the foreword, which I can't believe I'm talking so much just about that, but it gave a lot of like context for this. He talks about how knowledge is the best vaccine against fear, and how the real fear that most people are struggling with is actually the fear of change. He says people want to grow and evolve without changing, which is impossible. And this is so powerful and so true. And Tom Campbell would say that the goal is to evolve the quality of yourself at the being level. And the out-of-body experiences is one way to do that, because you learn and you grow. It's kind of like going through different simulations, but you're just going through different reality frames. He also makes it very clear that none of that is necessary to evolve or to change or grow, and that all of that can happen within physical matter reality, within your life, because no matter what reality frame you're in, you are making choices. And that's what matters. The way you make choices is what evolves and up levels the quality of your being. And it's like they used the word maturity. And I think there's this ongoing metaphor of like all of us kind of moving through different grades in school and leveling up little by little. And you can look back at like the little toddlers and be like, wow, those toddlers are like tyrants. They are raging, man, but you still love them because they're just cute little toddlers and they're just on their way and they're learning, but they're like little evil dictators, And I think in our reality, when we look at politics and the way things are going in the world, sometimes it feels like the toddlers of consciousness are running the show around here. And so we all just have to keep leveling up, but it's really not our business to make anyone else grow up. What our business is to really look at ourselves and figure out like where can I grow up? What can I do to help move myself through these life lessons? And maybe there's an urgency to it and maybe there's not. Maybe it is just going to take whatever amount of time it takes. But I think it's exciting once you kind of start to imagine that the possibility is there that, ooh, I could become a more loving being and I could be more effective in reality and I could collaborate with others to make these great changes. And, I want to be more mature. I want to feel better about myself. I want to be good to other people. I want to have a positive impact on this reality. Like, what better thing is there to do with a life, I don't know. To me, that's what it's about. So that's what all these people are saying too, in their own different ways. And here are some words from Luis Minero. So he talks about, while a picture is worth 1,000 words, an experience is made up of and is worth 1,000 pictures. So in that statement, he's basically saying, you might hear about other people's experiences with out-of-body travel, but wait till you get your own. Like, that's where it's at. And that excites me. And that's what makes me want to have it for myself. And I've had little glimpses, like I've said, in little moments where it feels like it's kind of happening. And then I kind of come back, or I'm like, was it a dream or was I imagining something? Did I really, like I've had things where I'm lying in bed and I kind of see the room that I'm in, but it's all like upside down or weird, or I feel like I'm in between a wall, like in a VR model where I'm just kind of like toggling. I'm like between the wall and I can't quite, like little glimpses like that, but then it just doesn't go anywhere. Or I've had something happen where I saw a screen in front of my eyes. It looked like a computer screen. It was like, I think it was green text, but I couldn't read the text. And I don't even know if it was like in English or in any human language, but I saw it like flash, like this vision flash in front of my eyes while I was laying in bed with my eyes open. And all of these things I just consider data from the database, which is the whole consciousness system. And maybe they're just little teasers to kind of prime me and get me ready to see, like, okay, like, did that scare her? Did she, what was her reaction? I just imagine that maybe that's part of the process, is like little teasers before you really get to have more. And that's how it goes for some people, and for others, they just get launched right in. So another cool thing that I liked that he said was, in this current world of fast, easy solutions and short-term fixes, there are still no long-term substitutes for personal effort, will, perseverance, and patience. And patience is hard for me. I mean, like I said, I've been trying to work towards this goal of having these experiences for so many years, and I've had so many doubts along the way. I've had things cross my mind like, well, if people can be blind in this reality, like their vision is impaired, what if I'm just, this is so funny because it's totally like the band Third Eye Blind, but I'm like, what if I'm blind in the third eye? What if I've been damaged in some way? What if I'm out there but I just can't see because one of my psychic senses isn't working? Like, I've had so many fears like that where I try to justify to myself why it's not happening. And then I've kind of done research or talked to different people who kind of put me at ease and say, like, no, you're fine. Just, keep going and don't worry too much about it. If it's meant to be, it'll be. If it's not, it won't. You can't control these things, but you can apply yourself towards these goals and you can start to see some results. And like I said, I have been getting results over time. The biggest result for me has actually been synchronicity and intuition. And those things, again, are tricky to measure or prove in any way. They're internal experiences. But the quality of my life has gone up dramatically since I've started these practices, and not just internally, but externally as well. And I can tell you more about that on some other day, but I have started at the bottom, like they say. And like, I really did start from a rock bottom in my adult life and had to move through a lot of pain and suffering and internal struggle and issues and a lot of things that were difficult. But during that time, I was following this work and I was integrating these concepts into my life, and I was working with them nonstop, and I have been for so many years now. So through that process, I've been able to really learn to trust my intuition in a very powerful way. And even to the point where I get these little flashes of information, precognition, and things that are going to happen, and things that I just know about people that I have no way of knowing, and then they're verified, like they come true, or I see some evidence that shows me. So I always take everything with a grain of salt. I don't get a big ego about it. I'm not trying to cling to every thought that passes through my mind. I just, if I notice a thought, let's say a piece of information comes through about a certain person, I'll be kind of like, oh, that's interesting. And then I'll just let it go. And then time will show if it was accurate or not. And then the more that happens and the more the information was correct, the more I start to notice the quality of any piece of information that flies by like that. If it matches the same quality of other pieces of information that proved to be true, I perk up just a little bit more, that kind of thing. So everyone has their own way with it. And it's fun and it's really cool. So I feel hopeful and excited and committed. And that's why I like that he's talking about perseverance and patience, because it motivates me to keep being very patient. And then he talks about the renewal of ideas, which is also very important. And this is about science in general, and how sometimes we get trapped in a moment thinking that we have figured something out, our science explains it, and that's that. But as we know from looking at history, science is evolving all the time. We're learning more, and then there's a renewal of ideas, and science changes. The things we know change. So he gave the example that, like, if you went back to the Middle Ages and had to have some kind of surgery or something, it wouldn't be great compared to what we have now. But at the time, they would have the leading edge science, and they would know what they were doing, and they would do everything they could to help you. But if you were from the future, you'd be like, this is not great, So let's think of ourselves as those past people right now, because there's a future beyond us where we will know more, and we will have better ways of dealing with everything, hopefully, if all goes well. And so we have to just stay humble and basically work with what he calls leading edge relative truths to the best information we can gather right now at this moment in time. And I think that's just a practical and grounded way of looking at things. It's like, okay, well, we have what we have. We have the scientific basis that is available to us as common people. We can only access so much. So, and we don't all have a million hours to dedicate to just studying and reading. And so we have to kind of take other people's word for it a lot of the time. But that's okay. That's the reality that we're in. And things are always changing. And we just have to keep it all kind of like, we hold it lightly and we keep it in discussion. So we don't shut each other down when somebody challenges a scientific belief or principle, because sometimes they need to be challenged. And sometimes some are really probably going to stay very solid for a long time. Like, I think Newtonian physics is a great example. It seems, our physics seem pretty solid within this physical matter reality. But I suppose the nature of the physical matter reality could change. It's possible. And then physics would have to change. But right now, it is what it is. And, like I've said before, like, if I let go of this, it's falling. That's happening. This water will splash all over the floor. It'll make a loud noise. Like, I'm sure beyond a shadow of a doubt that I can feel it. Like, there we go. It's happening. So physics is pretty solid. But when it comes to the science of consciousness, there's just a lot that we still need to figure out together. And let's see. He also mentions, kind of prepping people for this workbook, that if you have conservative views and values and you do not wish to be challenged, you might want to just turn back now. So the quote is, "This book, or more importantly, the practice of this phenomenon, will probably not be your cup of tea. Challenges arise due to the need to make sense of the reality encountered while outside the body, and in many instances, they will most definitely go against traditional values and even against newer, liberal, semi-established values. And then, like all the great teachers, he says, don't take my word for it, just go ahead and experiment. Here, I'm going to give you the tools. Let me give you the keys to the kingdom. So that's what I'm excited about. And I also wanted to read his definition of out-of-body experience. So let us introduce and define some basic characteristics of OBEs. The out-of-body experience is the phenomenon whereby individuals project or separate themselves from their physical body, manifesting in dimensions beyond the physical one, using other subtler bodies or vehicles of manifestation. And then there's this wonderful list of, here are some reasons why some people get interested in this crazy thing. And here are some of the common benefits. So enjoying leisure, like OBEs, you can visit new places. It's like you're traveling. So cool. Promoting increased happiness and general well-being, improving interpersonal relationships, losing the fear of death. Now, this one is huge. It changes the way people live their lives. It changes the way they think of the choices they make in these lives. So some people already just don't have a fear of death. Like, to be honest, I don't really have a fear of death. I don't like suffering, not gonna lie, but death is gonna be okay. I feel that it'll be okay. I'm not trying to expedite that process in any way, shape, or form. I'm very committed to my life. And at the same time, I don't live in a great fear of death. So I guess I've had enough experiences to give me that sense. And I was also raised in a community that um, that exposed me to the concept of reincarnation at an early enough age, and it just clicked and it made sense for me. So I think I was very lucky in that way. They talk about promoting greater overall health, contacting relatives or friends who have passed away. Lots of people are interested in that one. Understanding our physical life more profoundly and why it is the way it is. Looking for and receiving assistance of the most varied kinds. Some people call this helpers or guides, and they're able to get a lot of interesting help. Identifying our life's purpose or life task, helping or assisting other individuals while projected. Some people do healing from those other dimensions and have really great results with it. Replacing beliefs about the nature of life and death with direct personal experience and observation. So, like I just said, the belief of reincarnation was kind of given to me, but what would it be like to go and see some past lives that I've had? That would be a whole new level of understanding really what reincarnation is all about. That would be interesting. I would love to have that experience. Contacting more evolved beings or consciousness. They call it spirit guides, masters, helpers, and others. This kind of ties back into the UFO phenomena too, because some people out there do claim that they are communicating with aliens or ETs. And, you know, from Tom Campbell's point of view, these could be any non-physical beings in other reality frames who we project physical forms onto and notions of, you know, aliens from other planets. But there is some evidence to suggest that there might be actual physical beings in our physical universe that do come from other physical places and have consciousness similar to ours. And some people are communicating with those people as well. And then they talk about achieving greater levels of ethics and understanding and achieving greater maturity or spiritual growth. So that is really cool. I want to show you this picture, kind of like a visual representation of floating out of your body. That's the astral body floating above. And in this book, he says that everyone that he's observed sleeping kind of floats out of their body naturally, so that we're all actually doing it at night. We're hovering above our bodies, our astral body, which is kind of cool. I wonder if that's true, but it's interesting to think that a lot of people have experienced observing other bodies in sleep and have come to that conclusion. So a couple of the other categories we have a near-death experience, which is basically a forced out-of-body experience. And these occur often when someone is in danger or like in a car accident, for example. Maybe they were, in a really scary situation and they launch out, kind of unexpectedly, and that's a near-death experience. They have similar qualities. And in order to have these experiences on a regular basis, we have to develop these two attributes. So lucidity or awareness and recall, a lot like having dreams. You can have lucid dreams. I'm not a lucid dreamer, but people who gain lucidity, he says that can also be like a launch pad for the out-of-body experience, because if you're lucid in your dream, you could then say, okay, I want to be in my room now, experiencing my actual room. You can transfer it over into an OBE. I think there's probably other ways to do the same thing, to like put yourself in a different location or something, but apparently that can be one way to get to an out-of-body experience. And then the recall is a tricky part of it, which is he talks about a downloading process, actually, and the information accumulated in the non-physical body during an out-of-body experience has to kind of be downloaded back into the physical mind in order to communicate it or recall it. So he talks about that, and he's going to break that down later in the book, which I'm excited about. And then, I really liked this part. According to the international surveys, individuals reported the following levels of lucidity at night while sleeping. So 89% were sleeping without much awareness. 9.8% were semi-conscious experiences like lucid dreams. And only 1.2% were conscious experiences, which are lucid projections or OBEs. And then listen to this. It is interesting to pay attention to the last category. Though this is a small percentage, the number is bigger than what is popularly thought. About 1% of the population means that in a city with 2 million people, 20,000 individuals have had lucid projections or OBEs. That's a lot of people. So people are out there doing this, and not only are they doing it alone, but they can meet up. People can go and have shared experiences. So there is a lot of evidence to suggest that something real is going on here, and it's not just thousands and thousands and thousands of people making something up. So it's fascinating. I cannot wait to learn more and read more and take this little workshop that I'm going to take. And I'm really excited for Contact in the Desert, and I will be going to some remote viewing panels there and a special workshop where I'm going to learn from, I believe it's Paul H. Smith, the one that I signed up for, some protocols for remote viewing UFO stuff. So that should be very interesting, and I'll tell you all about it when I get back. Thanks for being with me. Thanks for being excited about these topics. Please like the videos. You give it a little thumbs up, it would be great. And comment and share. And yeah, I'll see you next time on Shocks Talks.